The Atlanta Braves have 6 picks in the top 50 this summer in the draft, and there's a lot of college players they should be looking at. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today, your daily source for news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, award-winning baseball writer and podcaster. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. You can find all my written work, bravestoday.com. That's the Braves Today Substack, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. We're proudly part of the Believe Podcast Network and presented to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app or go to FanDuel.com to get started. We're also proudly joined by a special guest today, Taylor Greenhut, making his Braves Today podcast debut, new contributor to Braves Today, also writes for Just Baseball, rolled out their top 100 just this week. Excited to have you on, Taylor. I want to talk a bunch of draft stuff. You've done a great job so far over on the newsletter, talking about some of the players available at pick number 6, at pick 26. We're going to get to those guys in just a minute, but it feels like if there was any season where Atlanta, it worked out okay that they didn't make the postseason and they have a top 10 pick, it feels like this is the one because the depth of this class just feels like it's fantastic compared to previous years.
Yeah, no, it's true. And you want to say like, oh, thank God we, have the number 9th pick, but you also don't, because you remember going through that season and just like, what are we watching every single day in and day out?
What's this worth it? Yeah,
exactly. But what was worth it was the 26th pick and watching Drake Baldwin win that. So if there was a year, like you said, this is an exciting year, not only on the college side, but on the prep side as well.
Yeah, and we're going to get there eventually, I'm sure, but when you look at the strengths of this class, Baseball America does a great job of reaching out to scouting directors in the game and kind of getting, some insights and some grades from them on the class. And they went through this, it's the 6th year that Baseball America's done this. This is the highest grade on overall talent in the class that MLB scouting directors have ever given. And it feels like the top of the draft is kind of set. You have your Chwalski from UCLA and things like that. But I've heard a lot of people say that when you get down into the 20s, 25, 26, where Atlanta is with that second pick, you have a lot of guys that legitimately feel like they could be top 10 picks in a normal draft, and they're sitting here in the late 20s, like college guys, prep guys. There's just a lot of exciting players in here.
Yeah, and I think some of it has to do with NIL. A lot of players are actually making it to campus now. They're getting that extra development. So now that when they're draft eligible sophomore or they're going into their junior year, they've had those 3 years of development, and it's just pushed them up the board more and more. And we'll see that with a couple of guys I had listed who were actually highly rated going into their draft as a prep, and even was drafted high and decided to make it to campus, which, with NIL, it's a little bit easier to do, passing up, $1.5 million signing bonus when you can make that on campus after a couple of years and then possibly push your way up farther.
I'm trying to remember exactly who it was, but I got a little bit of somebody that I know that covers both the draft and college baseball told me that LSU had 2 guys that were projected to be mid first round picks. And they reached out to the kids and they said, hey, the first one of you that puts out the statement that says you're not coming to campus, you're not going to the draft, you're coming to campus, and you enroll and you get here, we will pay you that same bonus you would have gotten if you were taken in the middle of the first round. And that to me is just one of those, it's a whole different ball game than what it used to be just a few years ago before NIL.
It's much different. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's the same guy in that story, but I know William Schmidt, he was projected to go like top 15, maybe top 10, and he withdrew his name out of
like 3 days before the draft. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. I was trying to remember off the top of my head from talking to somebody who covers college baseball and covers the draft, and I could swear that's who it was. But we're seeing that more and more. I didn't put this on the rundown. I'm kind of surprising you with this, but some of the conversation about MLB wanting to cut out a level of the minors maybe and cut out, shorten the draft a little bit and try to push more kids to college. I kind of have mixed thoughts because I think that while I love the college game, I spent last weekend in a press box watching Auburn play Youngstown State, not a state, if you were curious. Youngstown State is not one of the 50 states. But I remember thinking, like, these coaches, they want to develop these players because that makes them better, but their goal is to win, not to develop the players. And I feel like if MLB tries to push some of the development cost and the development time onto the college game, it's going to make what the college players that we watch, it's going to make that more fun. But I feel like it's probably a net negative for baseball overall because those guys will get to the pros, into professional baseball, maybe a little bit less developed than if you had them in your system as a prep for 2 years and then see where they are.
Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword because with NIL and with the transfer portal now, if you don't get playing time right away, you can just jump and leave. And if if you're 2-3 schools in, you see this with the college football all the time. A lot of those players that are in 4 or 5 different schools while they're still eligible, it's just they never make it into the NFL. They rarely do. So they're just trying to make their money in college and play as long as they can. So cutting it out, while it would make the college game a lot more fun, a lot of these big names that you see getting drafted as preps, and typically if you get drafted as a prep pretty high, you have a better chance of being a top draft or not draft pick, a top rated prospect. So
that pedigree is there.
Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword where it's like it would make the college game more fun, a lot more superstars, and the nature of the game. They're going to spread out. It's not like college football where everyone's going to go to the SEC and Ohio State and Michigan. Like you have UC Santa Barbara, who's a really great team, UC San Diego, Dallas Baptist, like all these mid-major schools that they consistently recruit based off of their development rather than the NIL.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get to your players in just a second, but the thing that I kind of want to point out, a lot of people are going to be asking about this. We saw the Braves kind of swerve in the draft last year. They've always been, college arm kind of heavy as what they did. And they took 3 position players in the first 3 picks, and they used some of those savings to float a prep arm down in Briggs McKenzie. And when you look at the strengths of this class, and again, I'm going off that same Baseball America poll, college pitching is the lowest rated of the 4 demographics in this poll. You've got 3 really good right-handers high, Cameron Fluke, Liam Peterson, Jackson Flora. But outside of them, and especially with lefties, there's just not a lot of college pitching there. But the college hitting is really, really good, especially early. The high school pitching, I've heard it called historically great in this scenario. And then the high school bats are pretty solid, but not to the level that the college bats are. You chose to write up 6 college hitters for the number 9 overall pick. If you had to put your flag in the ground, would you say like the way to do this if you're the Braves is to take one of those high caliber college bats? Or do you think that like there's an argument where, hey, if Fluke is still there, a guy who's throwing upper 90s with 75% strikes on his fastball, like go get a guy like that if one of the big 3's there, or stick with the bats this early because you can always grab arms later? Like, what's your flag in the sand here?
I'm more bats early now. I do love our stockpile of arms that we've gone over the years, and it's a running joke every year that you can just Sharpie in the Braves selecting a pitcher, usually a high school pitcher. And I think we've gotten to the point where let's call it how it is. The offensive prospects in our system, they're far away. We have obviously John Gill,
especially the outfielders.
Yeah, exactly. And like we have a lot of these guys who we have hype for with you at Gara, going over some of these guys that they get you excited, but they're still 2027, 2028, 2029, and we need help more so now. You have guys coming to the end of their contracts, you have guys getting older, and me personally, I would rather see a quick influx in talent in the offensive side. And I truly believe in our development of pitchers. And we can draft those college arms or float a high school arm a little bit later and develop them.
Makes sense. Okay. In just a minute, let's get to the actual players that you identified, because there's a lot of interesting names here. And I've got questions about a couple of these guys, things that I've always wondered or concerns that I've had. And I want you to kind of ease my mind. We'll do that next right here on Braves Today. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Grand Slam Getaways. I don't know, Taylor, what you think is a fun vacation, but for me, my goal would be watching as much baseball as possible. Maybe the ultimate baseball road trip. Grand Slam Getaways can do that. They have bucket list baseball bus trips. They depart from Atlanta. They catch at least 2 Braves road games and a bunch of other fun things. Your favorite baseball movie, why is it Bull Durham? Go.
It's a solid one. I'm not going to say it is Bull Durham, but
Yeah.
it's in my Mount Rushmore. It is definitely in the Mount Rushmore.
There you go. Well, guess what? The June trip. I'm sorry. The I think it's the July trip to the Northeast. You stop by the Bull Durham filming locations. Little fun things you get in there. There's appearances by former MLB players, 3-star hotels, daily breakfast, full slate of ballparks, field level tickets for these games. It's awesome. Megan's in Florida, June to the Midwest, July to the Northeast. Go to grandslam-getaways.com to make your summer a grand slam and reserve your spot with a small deposit. That's grandslam-getaways.com. Making Taylor help out with the ad reads here. Gotta, help pay the bills here. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsay Crosby, Taylor Greenhut, Braves Today contributor. Let's talk about your players, because you published the first piece right before the college season started. And I think when you think about top 10 picks, one of the things that the Atlanta area people are going to say is Drew Burress, the outfielder for Georgia Tech. He's hit a ton of home runs, 44 home runs in his first 2 seasons, despite being, Ozzie Albies-ish, 5'9", 185. And I'll admit, my concern about Drew Burress was, he's producing really well with a metal bat. Does this translate to wood from a guy who's 5'9", 185? But I kind of feel like a lot of what you wrote kind of says that, like, the hit tool is solid, and there's other guys in the pros who can do this from a similar package. So don't let the size freak you out about Atlanta maybe taking an outfielder in the top 10.
Yeah, and it's a totally valid concern with his size, 5'9", 185. That's basically me, and I don't think I'm ready to play in the major leagues anytime soon. And but no, it's true. You have Ozzie Albies, Jose Altuve, and one of the guys who he reminds me of when he swings is Corbin Carroll. I know he's lefty, but Drew Burress is a righty, and the way he just attacks pitches, he has really quick hands. His bat speed's just out of this world. He can get to anything, and my biggest argument to people that are having concerns is he's done nothing but mash since the second he got on the field. His first 9 games in college, first 8 games, he had 9 home runs, including a 4 home run game. And that's as a true freshman walking in there. So he's probably, I don't know if he was 5'9", 185 there, but I'm assuming he was probably closer to 170 as a true freshman walking into there. He broke the freshman home run record with 25 home runs, 4th highest.
You had a
great
note in there too, like the 4th best slugging percentage, but the first 3 are all like before World War II.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like you think of all these Georgia Tech guys that have come through in recent years. They do a great job development, even though they are my rival. I can tip my cap to that. And but 4th highest slugging percentage in school history, and the other ones were pre-World War II. It's all he does is produce, and he hasn't stopped yet. I think 3 games or 4 games this season, he's batting 353, 979 OPS, 3 doubles. He hasn't hit a home run yet, but a 529 slug. So he's still producing. Even that's his down. That's him, struggling a little bit. And if he struggles with that, it's a good sign.
And the list of players who have come out of Georgia Tech, there's good players. You look at what they have now: Chandler Simpson, Christian Campbell, Justin Henry Malloy. But you go back a little bit, Joey Bart came out of there, Derek Dietrich, Charlie Blackmon, better slugging percentage than Charlie Blackmon ever had. Matt Wieters, there's been really Mark Teixeira. He outslugged a college Mark Teixeira, Jason Varitek. And so it kind of blows my mind that this dude out of this package did it. Defensively, he can cover. It feels like it's Mike Yastrzemski from the profile of he can cover center, but ideally you don't want him playing center every day, and he's probably going to have to kick out to a corner or something.
Yeah, he's most likely going to slide into a corner, similar to I mean, I think Corbin Carroll can play center field, but I
Yeah,
like him better in the
same
corners
thing,
as
right?
well. It's a very
South
similar
Fralick,
vibe.
similar
Yep, South
idea.
Fralick
Sure.
is same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the outfielder. And when
Mhm.
I talked to Gorov, you mentioned that, and it was a great, kind of call out by you. The Braves don't have any outfielders that look like they could be ready by the end of 2027 when you're done with Profar and you're done with Yastrzemski. So I think that it would be a tall task for him to be ready in a year and a half, but a top 10 pick, it's not out of the realm of possibility he could
No,
do that.
especially
Um,
nowadays.
yeah, especially the way things work now.
Yeah.
On the infield, though, kind of sticking around, stayed in Braves country. And I hate to, you talked about your rival in Georgia Tech. Let's
Yep.
talk about my rival in Alabama. Justin LeBron is a shortstop that I feel like would absolutely make a ton of Braves country really happy because not only did he produce, he did it right away in the toughest conference in amateur baseball.
Exactly. And yeah, there's not enough to say about Justin LeBron. He would be my, if everything falls perfectly, he would be who I want. Because again, we also need shortstops. I know we just went
Yeah.
shortstop, 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 but we could always use more. Shortstops can play all over the field. We know this.
Yeah. And
So
he's played some center field a little bit too. Like
yes,
it's
and
not
he's
it's not a possibility.
and he's definitely a candidate to stick at short as well. So we can always kick out someone else. That flexibility is something that's valuable. And yeah, he has a 1.018 OPS for his career. Over a 1 OPS is just insane. 30 home runs, 109 RBIs. He's batting 327. So over these years, or this 1 year, I should say, like his freshman year was just out of this world, and he did kind of cool off a little bit towards the end.
Mhm.
Picked it back up. He has a little bit of a swing and miss problem. His approach can use some defined work. I'm pretty sure he had a lot more strikeouts than walks, which he's kind of corrected now. I think he's walked 6 times and only struck out once through 5 games so far this year. He is only batting 250, but a 1.103 OPS.
And it's
So
also a very small sample size. Five
yeah,
games.
5 games.
Like you're at 250. Okay, it's 5 games. Who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, like it feels like he's the guy. If you take him, and I think you had this in the piece, like he's immediately the number one shortstop prospect. He jumps Alex Lodiz, who I wrote about in detail on the newsletter. He jumps, Cody Miller. He jumps Tate Southesine, even John Heel, and he becomes the number one guy. Even though Heel is super high ceiling, he's farther away with some questions in there. I know that I think he's currently a little banged up, if I remember correctly, but Tyler Bell, what if, is Tyler Bell in that same level as LeBron, or is it because he's a draft eligible sophomore, he's maybe not as much of a developed draft prospect as LeBron?
I wouldn't say he's as developed as LeBron. LeBron's just natural, just gift of power. If you go back and watch the home run he had last weekend, and it looked like an MLB home run. You can just tell the difference watching it. And Tyler Bell, he's exciting, a switch hitter. Kentucky's always that scrappy SEC team where they do it by bunt and runs, hit and runs, sacrifices. They play the game down and dirty because they can't match with the big boys. They're just a lot of their NIL is devoted elsewhere, as we know. So he definitely has some exciting tendencies. Last year he did lead Kentucky in RBIs and runs scored. So he gets on base and knocks people in, and that's always good. He did have lower than 300 batting average in college. Isn't the worst thing, but with such a high pick, you typically want to see someone who just flat out dominates at the bat. He did have a 907 OPS, 10 home runs, and 46 RBI. So he's the guy that was rated really, really high going into the 2024 MLB draft. He was selected in the second round by Tampa Bay, and he still chose to go to Kentucky. So
it's very rare you see top picks in the top 10 rounds, period. Never mind second round.
Exactly.
Bypass the pick and go to college. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and it looks like he's improving it. Like if he's in the realm in the first round, that's already a win for him. So, switch hitter. He has some pop from both sides of the plate. A little bit of swing and miss concerns. The issue is he only played in one game this year, and he was diving for a ball up the middle and hit his shoulder. His timeline is currently unknown, so we don't know how bad it is. If he doesn't come back relatively soon, especially before SEC play, we may see him just opt to go back and stay for one more year.
Yeah, I do think it's important to point out to everybody listening, it is his non-throwing shoulder, so it's not something where you're concerned about future arm strength and things like that, ability to take it short. It is a non-throwing shoulder. It's not like an Ozzy Albies situation where he has a shoulder issue, young and it messes with him his whole career. But yeah, he's kind of an unknown there. We have another guy later on in the show that is also out with an injury right now too. Okay. If you had to pick one of these two guys, Eric Becker from Virginia, just straight up shortstop, was a fantastic freshman, all the freshman in the ACC, or Chris Hakopian, who a little bit of a bigger frame, a little more home run production, has been both a shortstop and a third baseman, but took that leap at Maryland and then transferred up to the SEC. Which one of those guys do you think you're taking?
You'll learn from me as time goes on. I like swinging for the fences, especially with my draft picks. It could be
top
any
10
sport.
pick, dude needs to hit power. Come on.
Exactly. Like, I understand you can pick bust that way, but I want someone who I believe can turn into at least an all-star, if not, silver slugger, and that's gonna be Chris Hakopian. Just at Maryland, just absolute smash. 1080 OPS, 347 average, 29 home runs, 103 RBIs. And Maryland is a solid Big Ten team, but they aren't in the top class of that, and definitely no SEC. So, he had 15 and 14 home runs each year, 72 hits exactly both his seasons there. And now he's coming into the SEC with Texas A&M, looking to bounce back from their disappointment last year. And so far, 990 OPS. He has 2 walks and 0 Ks, and that's something you'll see a lot from him. He drastically improved his walk to K ratio from his freshman year to sophomore year. He was a 30 to 26 walks to strikeouts. He actually last year had 40 walks and only 19 strikeouts. So that's something that Braves fans would, really like to see as well. So all in all, I do think he has one of the best pure approaches in the entire draft. So if I'm going to swing for the fence out of those two, it's going to be Chris Hakopian. But I do like Chris Becker. He would be more of the safer play, in my opinion.
I was about to say, does the fact that Becker feels like he's a little more likely to stick at shortstop over Hakopian, who probably feels like if he's there, he's going to be maybe a little bit of a range limited kind of guy, does that make you think that Atlanta could do something differently? Because to me, it feels like the Braves have tried to make sure with the guys they took last year, these are guys who can stick it short if we want them to be at shortstop, right? Now, Cody Miller's probably going to be somewhere else. He's like utility profile. I'm high on him, but it feels like Lodis with Heel, South Assine has the chops to stick it short. The Braves prioritize defense up the middle. Does that jeopardize Hakopian's chances of being the pick, or is it the bat's so good, who cares? You take him, you find a place to put him because the dude can mash.
I do think that in the Braves front office eyes that he might be a little bit lower, but if the bat talks that loudly, you have to listen. And I think he has the possibility to do so, especially in the SEC on a team that has hype, looking to rebound from last year.
Okay. All right. In just a minute, let's get to pick 29 because pick 26. I keep saying that. Pick 26 and pick number 9. Pick 26 because there's a lot of other options here, including one of my guys that I know that I want to talk about. We'll do that next right here on Braves Today. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Fantrax. If you're like me, you're in way too many fantasy baseball leagues. I got to be honest. Fantrax is the absolute best one because player pool is incredibly deep. Any player that you know, and you know a ton of players, like anybody that you can possibly think of, they're in the player pool. You can send them emails and be like, hey, there's a guy you need to add, and they'll add him. But my favorite thing, I don't want to speak for you. My favorite thing is sometimes I get busy at work and I forget to update my lineup. And they send a notification to your phone. They're like, hey, you have this dude in your lineup, but he's not playing today. You need to fix that before game time. So Fantrax, the absolute best way to play fantasy baseball. We actually started a Braves Today redraft league. The sign up is in our Discord, but before you can sign up for it, you have to go to fantrax.com/Braves Today and sign up for an account with Fantrax. It's completely free. Fantrax.com/Braves Today. Final segment of the Friday show. Lindsay Crosby, Taylor Greenhut here with you talking ball. Excited to have Taylor on the show now that he's part of Braves Today, the newsletter, bringing him over with everything here. You dropped a piece just this morning about some of the guys at 26. I kind of noticed a theme, kind of went with a lot of bats again. I do feel like that's probably the right play here. Like we said earlier, college arms are the weakest demographic of the four. Yeah. But you did throw an arm in there though, or actually an arm or two. You threw in Arkansas's Hunter Dietz. That would be, I think that would be the second consecutive Arkansas lefty you took after Beetlejuice last year.
Yep.
And Joey Volchko from your Georgia Bulldogs. Was I have to ask, was Volchko, is it Volchko? Volchko?
Volchko.
Volchko. Okay. Volchko. Was that a homer pick, or like are the pieces there to legitimately be a first round pick and be an impact starter?
No, it's the second. The pieces are there. I will say that putting him at the 26th pick might be a little bit homerish. I will admit to that. But
you got time. Yeah, he can perform.
He has the pieces there. He throws an extremely hard cutter. So that's something that you'd be a fan of. Mid 90s. He can reach triple digits with it. So that's something that's good. He has a low 90s slider and a changeup that goes with it. And he has his best pitch is arguably a hammer curveball. Can throw high 90s, hammer curve, does have the ability to throw a slider and change up. Just needs more reps with it. He is a guy who, with these picks, like you said, the college arms aren't the greatest this year. I would go, again, I'm swinging for the fences. And this is the kind of guy, and Hunter Dietz as well, is a guy that, he might not even make it through AAA, but he also could immediately become like an all-star game starter if everything clicks. The big thing about him, he's 6'4". His stats aren't going to look great. He has a career 5.77 ERA and a 1.70 WHIP. He has loud stuff at Stanford, but he was never able to hone it in. This season, one start, he went 4 innings, only 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. As you know, Wes Johnson's the type of coach over at Georgia that's gonna slowly bring you along. He likes to use multiple pitchers in the game, sometimes to the detriment, in my opinion. But I understand it at the beginning of the season that you want to slowly bring them in, especially when they have a guy like Caden Naoki from USC who also transferred in to piggyback off of him, so he can cover another 4 or 5 innings. So all in all, he's he just has loud stuff. And the biggest thing for me is with Wes Johnson, if people don't really follow college baseball, they won't know the connection. But there was another hard-throwing righty who had trouble locating, transferred under Wes Johnson. He lowered his arm slot about 3 or 4 inches and became the #1 overall pick. And that's going to be Paul Skeens. If he's not Paul Skeens, I'm not saying he's Paul Skeens. But if just the simple, if that lowering the arm slot does prove to help his control and learn under Wes Johnson, he should be a first-round pick easily.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing we've seen from Wes Johnson. He's got experience in the pro game. He was a pitching coach for the Twins for a couple of years. So obviously a lot of connections with the current Atlanta Braves staff. Pitching coach at LSU before he goes to Georgia. And it's like he clearly understands pitching development and making these guys into better versions of themselves. And so I think identifying a guy like this now is something where we could look back at this in a month and he's not even available at 26 because of what Wes Johnson can do for a guy. I do love, we talk about Jeremy Hefner and a lot of the stuff he likes to do. I do love the fact that he's already throwing 5 pitches. Hefner wants you to throw all 3 fastballs. He's got 2 of the 3 already. He's got multiple breaking balls, the slider, the curveball. He's got a decent changeup. It's a really good base. And I guess what I'm still kind of waiting to see, we know that at the major league level, Hefner is going to do things differently. I'm curious how much the player development and the player acquisition groups change what they do to match what Jeremy Hefner likes. We've seen the Braves, J.R. Ritchie's a great example, lean into the multiple fastballs, diversified arsenal thing. I want to see if they kind of turbocharge that. And if they look at, if they're looking at Volchko early and they're scouting him pretty heavily, I think it's a good sign that yes, they want to lean into what Jeremy Hefner does well. So it's a great call out by you. And I really feel like in 3 months, we're going to look back and be like, wow, he had this dude really early and it's clearly going to be a great thing. Let's get to my guy real quick. Okay. Chris Rembert from Auburn. He is a second baseman. And I know that a lot of people have the idea of a second baseman in the first round is just absolutely wild, but he's a draft eligible sophomore, first team All-American last year, and ended up leading off for Team USA over the summer. He is a legit hitter. He's played other positions other than second base. He played a little outfield for Auburn. He played shortstop in high school. But this dude is just he's a hitter. He's somebody who his offense improved in SEC play. And he already was hitting 344 on the season last year, but he got even better in SEC play. Just one of probably the best hitters in the draft, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
Unbiased opinion.
Yeah, exactly. You're allowed to be biased after my Joey Volchko stuff.
There we go. Okay, perfect.
But no, he really is. And like I was telling you off screen, like I was watching one game last season. There was just one ball that he hit off that tall fence over at Auburn, and it just looked like a big league at bat. The whole at bat, the swing, the pop, getting into second base, it just looked like he was ready for the big leagues. And sometimes your eyes can tell you something different than what the stats say. But in this case, the stats also say it. Batting 344, 1015 OPS, only 10 home runs, but home runs might not be his main thing, but 10 home runs in college is still pretty impressive.
For a freshman.
Especially for a freshman. So, he's one of those guys he's second on the team in average as well. So he's
and
a guy
number one was first round pick Ike Irish.
Yes, exactly. So he was playing with some other big guys. So it all in all, drafting a second baseman might be, similar to drafting a running back or an inside linebacker in the NFL with the first round pick. It's something that you don't necessarily need to do, but sometimes there's guys that make sense. And to me, especially with an extra pick at 26, you're not drafting him in the top 10. It's worth it, especially, the unknown with Ozzie Albies. Obviously, we have these three shortstops that one of them could easily slide over to second base. But I think right now, I would probably say Rembert has a better hit tool than all three of them as well. So I would slide him right ahead of all of them to be the next in line after Ozzie Albies.
Yeah, I reached out to two acquaintances with different websites, one with MLB Pipeline, one with Baseball America, and both of them said, like, if you bring in Chris Rembert I almost said at Auburn, if you're getting Chris Rembert from Auburn to the Braves, he would probably be the number one hitting prospect in the system immediately, like on draft day. And I think it's the rare situation where you have a clear and obvious need at second base. You have a clear and obvious timeline, right? After 2027 is when Ozzie's team control is up. You can re-sign him if you want to, but team control is up. And you have a guy who is a very polished and advanced for his age hitter who is probably one of the few guys in the draft who could conceivably hit that timeline and at least compete for the job in 2028. I don't necessarily think he would win the job out of camp unless he just has an amazing rise, but we've seen guys do that. We've seen guys, Jackson Holiday, JJ Weatherholt is expected to be the second baseman this year for the Cardinals. Guys shoot up that fast. So I think it makes a ton of sense. Thank you for pandering to me with that, but it is a good call out by you. I keep thinking about what if I keep wanting to say Auburn. What if the Braves double and triple down on shortstops like they did last year? And it's a deeper college shortstop class, but as you get to 26, I feel like it kind of tails off a little bit. And you threw out a name, Maddox. I think it's Maddox Malony is how you say the last name, of Oregon, and really kind of intriguing about how he's in that kind of same mold for you of, really good defense. Offensively, he can do a lot of stuff, but there is some more risk here than most of the college shortstops at the first round. And that's why he might kind of be the last guy in that top tier shortstops in the first.
Yeah, he's the guy that I don't want to call him defensive first, but out of the other options higher than him, he might be the most defensive defender? First guy. Yeah. Him and LeBron are probably up there for me, but his hit tool is just not as, with the Russell Alces, with the Justin LeBrons, even Tyler Bell. His hit tool's not there. He doesn't have the bat speed and the power just yet. I say that he does have a career 564 slug and 26 home runs through 2 seasons. So I say that, but the numbers say differently, and I understand that. But watching him, he's the kind of guy that when you take the metal bat out of his hand, I do see those power numbers coming down a little bit. But he's extremely solid in the field. Only 3 errors as a true freshman, a 971 fielding percentage as a sophomore. He's going to be reliable. He's another guy that's going to stick at shortstop. And he also might be, this might say it's just to our prospects, but he might be the best hitting shortstop if we took him as well. And I'm a little bit lower on him, and I understand that. But overall, his overall game is just good. He's just a good shortstop. And he's a guy that, he might not make many all-star games in his career, but you could slide him in at shortstop and have no issues with it.
Yeah. kind of like I guess the last guy here that you wrote up for the back half of the first round, an outfielder from Texas, Aiden Robbins, and I feel like I've been kind of questioning, do you take a corner outfielder? Like he is, I think he's one of those guys. He can play center, kind of like Burrus, but he really profiles not only as a corner outfielder, but like an offensive first outfielder. Does he have the power to make up for not being a center fielder when he gets into pro ball? Because clearly that limits a little bit as far as his defensive versatility and how far down the spectrum he can go and still have a job.
Yeah, and the power is there. He has extremely fast bat speed as well.
Yeah.
He put up multiple EVs north of 110 last season, and he was over at Seton Hall.
Yeah.
So the competition, I do understand, isn't as good as he is now at Texas. Another guy who's earned his way to the SEC starting role, and he's expected to play a huge part in Texas. And Texas is one of the best teams in the country. So he is a guy who has done nothing but produce. 512 slugging as a true freshman, led Seton Hall in average runs, hits, second or doubles, total bases, walks, on base percentage, slugging, stolen bases, and multi-hit home.
Is that
multi-hit games?
Just 10 things? Just 10 things?
Exactly. All last season. So he's a guy who can do it all. His speed is going to probably limit him to a corner. If you have a corner outfielder, you typically want him to be a power hitter. He might not be the true power hitter that you're thinking of, a la some other guys that we have actually left off this list that we can mention. But he's going to be a guy who I do see those power numbers, getting up to 20 home runs in a season. And that's perfectly valid for a right and left fielder.
That's what Jurickson Profar is going to do. Like that's a Jurickson Profar season right there. I do want to point out his sophomore year, and I think you had a great stat in the piece here. 5th in the country in on base, 6th in batting average. And so it's possible that he maybe is a better fit for a Tim Hires style, put the ball in play. You're not focused exclusively on hitting home runs. You're going up there, you're making the pitcher work, you're making the defense work, and you're keeping the inning moving for the guys behind you. I do think that helps a little bit.
And this season, just so he's proven it so far in 4 games, batting 375, 1132 OPS, 6 hits, 2 doubles, 5 runs, 5 RBIs. So he's so far, his first taste in with the big boys. Obviously, we have to see when he goes into SEC play when it's week after week, but he's proven it. So until he doesn't prove it, I'm going to be all in.
I will get to see him in person when Texas comes to Auburn, so I'll definitely have to report back on that. Last guy before I let you go, I know I kept you too long already. You put a utility player in this piece in the top 30. Sell me on Alex Hernandez from Georgia Tech. Is this he has such defensive ability and instincts, he can play anywhere? Or is this he's not really great at anything, but he's a good hitter and they had to get him in the lineup?
I would honestly a little bit of both, and I know that's kind of copping out, but just his bat is so good. And you say a utility hitter, and you're thinking of Mauricio Dubon, for instance.
Yeah,
this isn't Mauricio Dubon. Alex Hernandez can absolutely mash as well. 1059 OPS with Georgia Tech last season as a true freshman, 17 home runs. He broke the Georgia Tech freshman record with 69 RBIs, and we already went through.
Nice.
All these other players that came through Georgia Tech. This is just the freshman record, but still, he owns it now. He led all true freshmen in RBIs as well last season. So ACC Freshman of the Year, Freshman All-American. He's just a guy who's, along with Drew Burress, is going to end Von Lackey, I will say for him as well. They're going to help lead this Georgia Tech team that's actually really, really good. The Georgia games are going to be just absolute battles this season.
They are.
They have a lot of guys. They have potentially 3 guys if Alex Hernandez does get selected in the first round that are going first round. He can play pretty much everywhere. Let's see. He played mostly second base, 27 games. He played some right field, first base, left field, DH, and he actually got 1 appearance as a pitcher. But he's a true 2-way athlete, but he's not. This season, I don't think they're going to allow him to, because his bat's just so good that they're going to stick him everywhere. And he was able to play all those positions. He's probably going to be a corner outfielder or a second baseman, possibly even third baseman. But he has that kind of capabilities to where he will stick at a position because his bat is so good. But it's not to the detriment of his defense.
Kind of the spiritual successor to Luke Williams, if you will, kind of playing everywhere and being a pitcher if you need him to.
Yeah, exactly.
Georgia Tech actually has a home and home in midweeks with Auburn. So I'll have a chance to scout both him and Burrus in person. I'm hyped about that. I really living in SEC country means you get to catch a lot of the college baseball talent, the best talent in the country coming through your town on a regular basis. I remember getting to watch Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz in person that season and watching Paul Skeens not be able to beat Auburn. That was fun. One of the worst starts of the year was against Auburn that year.
There you go. And I do just want to throw out one last thing with Alex Hernandez. I want to read out his stats this year as well.
Okay.
Because we thought, some of the previous guys were insane. It's in 4 games. He's batting .625. He has a 1559 OPS. He has, in those 4 games, he has 10 hits, a double, and a home run. So there's going to be 8 singles, but a double and a home run, 8 runs, 10 RBIs, and he's walked once and struck out once. But he's batting .625 through 4 games. It's a small sample size. I get it. But Georgia Tech is just absolutely mashing everyone right now. I want to see them once they get into the higher competition. But a 1559 OPS just has to be mentioned.
Yeah, he's ripping 110 EVs and stuff like that. That's wild.
Yeah.
Great stuff. I'm so excited that you're part of the team. You're part of the group here. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to everything you have this summer. If Braves fans who aren't in the Braves Today Discord, where you're incredibly active, incredibly popular over there, Braves fans who want to follow you and all of your stuff outside of when you come on the podcast, how can they go about doing that?
Mainly on my Twitter, as you see in the bottom, T Greenhut OD. For any Wiz Khalifa fans out there, you'll understand it. And mostly there. I also write over at justbaseball.com. Mainly Braves. I do have a few pieces out that are
the WBC piece
MLB.
Recently,
yes,
right?
I wrote about. I wanted to write about Team Venezuela, mostly for our boy Ronald Acuna. But diving into it. They're a team that I understand USA should be favorites in Japan with Otani. Should never not be top 2. But Venezuela, man. That team is absolutely loaded.
Stacked. Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun.
Unfortunately, they lost. Yeah, unfortunately, they lost Pablo Lopez, but so that they have to make up for that. But their offense is the legit.
It's just going to be ball go boom for the entire tournament. They're going to win this whole thing. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, their pool is pretty easy.
Yeah, it's which means they'll make it to Miami, and we'll get to watch them, in the States and watch them. That starts in March. If everybody watching was curious when the WBC starts, we're going to be talking all about it, I'm sure, because Braves have quite a few guys in the WBC as far as Acuna, Trump, Profar, Albies, a couple of guys there. Andrew Jones is managing Team Netherlands, so we'll cover all of that. Taylor, thanks for your time. Thanks for being here. Do us a favor. Please like the video. Please subscribe, both here and at bravestoday.com, free or paid. It helps us out a ton as far as getting these newsletters out, finding great contributors like Taylor and all of that. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.